Mauricio Pochettino, he goes out with a game plan. Now, the game plan wasn't going to work because when they were trying to play out from the back, Mexico were pressing them. Now, you've got a big centre forward and you go long every so often. You go long, but he's isolated. Now, at the start, after about 20 minutes or 15 minutes, Pochettino should have come to the side and say, don't play out from the back. We're going to go long. We'll get Tillman up alongside Adjuman. We'll get the midfield players pushing in. We'll win the knockdowns and we'll play from there. Because USA didn't have the ability or the understanding of how to play out from the back, and they caused themselves all sorts of problems. So that comes down to a manager. At times, you go away from your principle and say, this is the only way we're going to compete in this game. And he didn't do that.
So what next? What happens here?
Well,
in this life of the next year, next year is just going to be blah blah blah.
So I'm going to put this more on the federation than Pochettino, because if you look at what Mauricio Pochettino has had to work with since he got here in October, you look at every single camp he's had at least 5 to 6 starting players not available for whatever reason. For whatever reason, not available. In this one right here, we can go with the Club World Cup. Christian Pulisic doesn't want to come. There are realistically 9 to 10 players that could be starters not available here. Would they have beaten Mexico? I don't know. Would they have, whatever the case may be, they would have done better. I know that. You would have felt a bit more going into this game. He doesn't know who those players are. He has no idea what a Christian Pulisic, with a Giovanni Reyna, with a Weston McKennie, with a Yunus Musa, with an Anthony Robinson, a Serginho Dest. He has no idea what that looks like. He has no idea what that looks like.
I've known those names for a while. That's quite funny, isn't it? You're still talking about Serginho Dest.
Why wouldn't we still be talking about Serginho Dest?
Because he doesn't play anymore.
But that's the thing. When
we've got these big names like Gio Reyna. I feel like we're 4 years ago. And since Berhalter took over, and since obviously you've got Pochettino coming,
you went from those names. You went from those names and those ceilings to a Max Arston.
Yes, but the problem is, here's the thing: those names
who are not going to be anywhere near the World Cup.
Anything.
That's exactly what I'm saying. They're not going to be anywhere near.
It doesn't mean anything to anyone in Europe anymore.
No,
he is irrelevant
in Europe. But for the U.S. men's national team, he is very relevant.
But
that is the problem.
That's a massive problem.
So if you can't have him to evaluate him, that's the issue.
Mexico will come in, but it's okay because we're going to have Gio Reyna, we're going to have Serginho Dest.
Nobody's saying it's okay, but you have to compete with the best players. But that is an improvement. That is an improvement over Mark Arston.
That's an improvement where they haven't got teams, they're not playing.
Okay, forget Gio Reyna, forget those players if you want. There's a Joe Scally, there's an Austin Trusty, there's a Tanner Tessman, there's a Boosie. There's players who play at a high level in Europe who aren't here for whatever reason. And he went with players that are going to be nowhere near the picture 11 months from now. That's the issue.
I think you're hanging your hat on players that aren't going to bring much more than what we saw already yesterday.
You think that's
Absolutely,
the case? You think those players wouldn't bring much more than what you saw?
100%, because when we've seen them play,
I think you're wrong.
Over the last 4 years, what have we seen?
I think you're wrong.
Yeah, this is it.
You saw this the last 4 years?
No, what I'm saying is, what have we seen improve from the U.S. men's national team? From all these players in
that's
Europe?
why you can't go back to what you already have. You have literally 30 players in a pool of Europe that you can choose from, and you go with inexperienced players in this tournament, and now you're going to complain about what you saw.
Here's the problem I have when I speak to people about the US men's national team, is that Europe is some sort of holy grail. That because you're in Europe, magically you're an amazing player. Yet we've seen these players on the international stage and indeed on the domestic stage, and they're just not.
Yeah, and if you want evidence of that, go back to last year's Copa America. If you want evidence of that, go back to the CONCACAF Nations League, in which a lot of these guys were playing.
Still a lot of players missing. Still a lot of players missing.
Well, Hercules, I don't think the argument of a lot of players missing carries a whole lot of weight unless it's Lionel Messi walking through that door.
Because there's no Lionel Messi, that's why it's important.
Okay, but my point is, Herc, and I think we can agree that in Copa America, they had a lot of those players available.
Sure, but can we agree Copa America is circumstantial?
No, but it's not circumstantial because they were eliminated by Panama.
Because of a red card in the first half. I mean, and we could sit here, we could debate.
What about the other games in that?
But what I'm trying to tell you.
What about the other games in that group?
Did you expect them to beat Uruguay?
Okay. Then what do we expect them to do in a World Cup?
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell. That's what I'm trying to tell you, because there is no Lionel Messi. Because you can't depend on one player. You need these players. As bad as you guys think they are, you need these players.
No, it's not as bad as I think they are. It's as bad as they've been playing.
You still need these players because they're the best you have.
I'm not saying that you don't need them, but you've had them and it hasn't been all that successful. Can we agree on that?
Sure.
Okay, is that a fair statement that those guys have been available and they haven't, when they have been available, have they achieve the levels that we were expecting and that you were expecting.
What
because if there,
percentage do you think they get? Sorry.
if there was, if there was
I expected more.
If there was somebody in this panel or anywhere around here that called this the golden generation, it was you, it wasn't me.
And I asked them to show me more.
Okay, and that's exactly what I'm asking.
Yes.
And have they done that?
But what I'm saying, Ali, is do you think
have
what
they
was
done
called
that?
up? No, and I'm the
Okay.
first one to tell you, but do you think what was called up in this Gold Cup is better than that?
Hey, Hercules, I just told you that this was, in using Dan's words, a waste of time because you didn't really get anything
Exactly.
out of this.
Yes.
Other than raising the trophy, which you didn't do, you got nothing out of this because you got no answers, definitive answers as to what this team is going to be next summer.
In agreement.
Mario?
Yeah, but Ali, don't you think that, okay, Pochettino is the coach. He watches this game. I totally agree. Maybe they didn't perform to the standards that, you would like them to be, right? Because they're going to host the World Cup and people are going to go there and expect the United States at least to be part of the show. Let's say it like this. But what the key thing is now, Pochettino have seen his team. He has seen them perform because he came in, September? And now he brings them to a final. He knows what his team is now. Okay, in the final, they didn't turn up the way they wanted it to be. So I think the only way for United to have a chance and do something that is relevant is they have to build as a team. It will not happen as an individual. Because why I say that, if you look at the game against Mexico, every second ball was almost not for them. How can you play against, you turn up for the game, you want to compete in the middle of the park. When you go long and the ball drops in the middle, you gotta be compact. They were wide open and every second ball was from Mexico. You cannot play football like that. So if they're gonna play the World Cup, they better be really compact and he has to build his team because this is the way Pochettino is known for. When you played against Spurs sometimes, it was really tight. He was good at that. He built a certain system and they will play from that. And if you watch United States right now, it is not a team that is playing football the way it's supposed to be. So I think that is the biggest problem now. So they have to build that first. And after that, of course, they miss some names. And I totally understand. Yeah, of course. And we cannot say like, okay, I heard what Dan said for like the international players, when they go abroad and everything, they come back. But they add some experience to the game. And they just have to make sure, because you have to remember, some are abroad, some are local. And you have to make a team out of that. And I think at the moment, that is the biggest fight I think the United States has.
And this is something
to
obviously
build a team, and it's not a team at the moment.
Sorry, Mario, this is something that Tyler Adams brought up, wasn't it? After the game, talking about and reflecting on the tournament. This is his reflections. I think the attitude has to translate right where I think Mauricio just probably won't pull people in. Because the culture that we have, it doesn't matter who you are. If it's guys here that played well, if it's the guys coming back into the group, if you're coming back from injury, just whatever it is, the culture and the emotion is the first thing that he wants to see. And I think that's going to lead to positive results. What does that mean between now and the start of the World Cup, Robbo?
Well, he's talking about the culture and all that sort of stuff. United States will only do well if they play a dynamic game and they've got great enthusiasm and they play on the front foot, in my view. They can't try and play out from that. It's got to be a more basic game plan. That was what Pochettino's got to do. They've got to run people off the park. That's what, when United States were a good side, they ran people off the park. They used their energy. They were well organised. That's the only way that United States are going to do well. The players coming back, they might improve it by 5, 10%. That was a question I was going to ask you. How much do you think they'd be improved by in terms of percentage when they come back? But it's going to be the game plan, it's going to be the energy, it's going to be the motivation. That's the only way they're going to get out their group.
And can he do that? Can Pochettino do that? When he doesn't see them now for a year?
He's going to have to. I mean, you're talking about, he's still going to play friendly games when he's going to have to, but that's when you have to do it. If you look at all the teams that have ever played at home, they don't play competitive games for a year, and they have to make the games competitive. They have to play at their very best. They have to get the game plan right and try 1 or 2 different things. That's what managers have done. Terry Venables did it brilliantly when he was the England manager.
It's just amazing that we're sitting here 2025 and we're asking the U.S. men's national team to do what for decades the U.S. men's national team has always done. To be pragmatic, to be difficult to play against, fast in transition, to pick your moments, to be a difficult team, to have that fight, that spirit, that culture. Here we are with more players in Europe than the program has ever had, and you're asking them to at least have that, and you've got the captain of the team saying, hey, who it looks to me is trying to play peacemaker, Mauricio Pochettino just wants to see this, sending messages in the media. I can't believe we're here. I really can't believe we're here. After the World Cup 2018, what wasn't for the U.S. men's national team, to see these players gifted call-ups, gifted these opportunities where they got rid of the Josie Altidores, where they got rid of the Michael Bradleys, they got rid of the Tim Howards, all those players. Let these guys fail. Let them make their mistakes, but let them grow. And here we are having this talk about, they need to come back to that, to the fight, to the culture. I'm flabbergasted. I really don't know what to say.